How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Emnix Plays Path of Exile, a little beginner guide. We're currently in Act 3, and I think last episode we left off at Lunera's Temple before I just ran out of time. And I was looking at my gear, and I noticed I had a 4-link. I must have picked up a 4-link last time. It's been a few days, I'll be honest. I don't remember much of what happened, but there's a 4-link, and I'm thinking it's probably worthwhile for us to actually equip this. Running 2 4-links is probably good. It's great for damage. And my Ice Nova is currently on a 3-link, so it would be great if I could get that on a 4-link as well. And in order for us to replace this chest item, we're going to lose a little bit of resistance. So if you look at this chest armor, it has some fire, cold, and lightning. Now I'm overcapped in fire, right? I have 103% fire resistance, but your cap is 75%. Same thing with cold. So if I were to equip this white chest armor, basically all I would lose out is a little bit of cold resistance. It goes under the cap, and I lose a little bit of lightning resistance, 9%. It's not a huge amount. And this is one of those situations where, yes, this yellow item is better for you, but I don't need this rare chest in order to keep my resistances high, and I can actually benefit quite a bit from just a blue item. And I'm thinking, yeah, this is the perfect kind of item. Like a little bit of 23% lightning resistance, a little bit of defense, that's fine. If I had rolled life, that would have been excellent. Life and resistance, and that puts me at 75, 71, 70. That's good enough. I'm very happy with that. So with that, we can unequip all of this, add a cold, Ice Nova, controlled destruction, and the last one would be maybe something like this. Okay, and I do drop clarity, which gives me 12.5 mana regen per second. I do need to double check whether I can still cast my spells without all of this mana regen. So let's take a look here. Is it okay? Oh, it's not great. I need this mana regen, huh? Okay, well, if I need the mana regen, for now I will drop Frost Bomb. Yeah, I need it. Okay, unfortunately we won't be able to lower their resistances, but Ice Nova probably gets a pretty good DPS upgrade. So now Ice Nova is at 1780 DPS, Frostbolt is at 1900. Our wands, it's a blue wand, and over here there's some damage to spells, but overall it's nothing crazy, right? A lot of this damage is coming from the fact that we have a 4-link. And again, this is sort of the stuff you need to keep an eye out on, which is to say, if you want more damage, you know, don't get too stuck on making sure that, oh, this one has slightly more damage, oh, I need a better weapon for more damage. Sometimes, you know, maybe the bigger focus is like get a 4-link on your helmet or a chest armor, and then you can freely upgrade your weapon still, but they don't need to have the correct sockets and links, right? Like you're never gonna find the perfect number of sockets and links, just because, you know, your items are always evolving, they're always changing. So just make sure you have 1 or 2 4-links. In my case, I'm using 2 skills, so I want 2 4-links. But if you're just using 1 skill, just use you know, just use 1 4-link, and as long as you have that, your damage should be pretty good. So now we have this added benefit where, you know, the enemy will get hit by these frost bolts, and when I cast Ice Nova, it casts Ice Nova twice as well, in which case they would get hit by those as well. So we're dealing the damage of 2 spells, really, right? And this is sort of where the power, I think, of Frostbolt Ice Nova comes from, compared to, you know, just casting them individually. How does this scale in the late game? I have no idea. I really don't. Apparently it's good, but I still don't have... I don't know what the general setup is going to be. My voice might sound a little hoarse. You're going to need to forgive me. I'm very, very tired today. It's kind of like my daughter, she's been... I think I mentioned last time, she has a cold, she's been sick. She hasn't been sleeping well. And as a result, my wife and I, we haven't been sleeping well either. You know that feeling you get when, I'm not sure if everyone experiences this, but like, you know, you go camping, you sleep in a tent, and then you just have a terrible night's sleep, basically, right? You stayed up like drinking till 3 a.m. You only slept for 3 hours. You wake up, your throat is all scratchy and all hoarse because I don't know. You just, like in my case, I've been snoring, right? Like in the tent, and then things just don't feel good. You're all achy. That's how I feel right now. It's not a good feeling, to be honest. But you know, I should be sleeping. Unfortunately, I'm addicted to Path of Exile. It has been, you know, let's see, it's the long weekend. Today's Monday. It's been like 3 days since I recorded. I wanted to play more, but again, like I'm just so tired. But today I'm like, you know what? I have an hour or two to spare. You know, the baby is asleep. It's a long weekend. I haven't been able to play any games at all. Let's play something. So let's try and at least get through Act 3. And then probably we can get through a little bit of Act 4 as well, if I had to guess.
Of all the worlds you could have conquered,
when you fight Piety over here, there's going to be another crafting recipe just on the top left corner. Just make sure you don't forget about that. I know there are other crafting recipes. I don't have all of them memorized, but I kind of have a vague idea of where like some of them are, basically. So whenever I remember, I'm just going to mention it. You might be asking right now how like I'm unlocking these crafting recipes, but I don't actually know how to use them. And we can kind of talk about that in a second, maybe after this boss fight, on how you could use it. Okay, so Piety, the way she works is when she's in her standard form, she summons lightning storms. When she runs into this blue beacon, she turns into an ice form, and then she shoots ice arrows like this. And when she runs into the red beacon, she turns into a fire form, and she just kind of like bull rushes you and charges at you. The idea is like, you know, just kind of kite her around. You should be able to do enough damage. Her ice form is pretty painful if you don't have resistances. Same with the fire form. The lightning isn't too bad. If you see her starting to shoot arrows, just hide behind the pillars. In my case, I had so much resistance that it wasn't a problem at all. And then in her fire form, just make sure you use your flasks wisely, because it can do a lot of damage, a lot of melee damage if you don't have enough fire resistance. Again, you know, this game is a lot easier to play, at least through the campaign, once you manage to max out your resistances.
Watch yourself.
Things change a little bit once you get into endgame with maps, because you need more layers of defense. But through the campaign, just having maxed resistance as well as a good amount of life, that's enough to get you through it. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's just like you see enough posts online about like, oh, you know, like I'm at Act 8 and I've died 300 times. I'm just steamrolling, like, or not steamrolling, like I'm using basically my face to, like, I'm face tanking, right? Like I get killed and I would run to the boss again and I get killed again. I would just keep doing this like 200 times to kill every boss. What am I doing wrong? And then you find out this guy has like 500 HP in Act 8, and like he picked up all the damage nodes. At least he tried to, but also, oh, I'm using a cold skill, but I was also interested in doing some minion stuff. So they like put in focus skills into minion damage, and then they had some stuff in fire damage because I was using fireball. I wanted to be a fire and ice mage. Like, don't, you know, aside from just the defenses itself, don't spread yourself too thin, right? Like, have an idea of how you want to play this game, right? In our case, we're doing some cold stuff. We're picking up some life. We have some area of effect with Frostbolt and for Ice Nova, and then we're just gonna take cold damage and then aura stuff. Aura stuff is pretty good as well for our build, so I'm gonna go ahead and take that. Right? Actually, generically, like all builds kind of like to take some aura nodes, so you could take it on any character and not really feel bad about it. But that's all you need to do for the campaign, right? Like, people talk about needing to have a PhD in order to get through this game, in order to understand what anything is. And I do think that there's a lot of content in this game, but at the same time, you know, you don't have to know everything at once. There's no need, right? Just take it one day at a time, one act at a time, and then you're gonna be fine. Okay, so the crafting bench, the way it would work is, I don't know if you've unlocked the hideout at this point, but basically Helena in Act 2, I think. Let me see real quick. Helena in Act 2. This girl, she gives you this thing called a hideout. So if you have not unlocked the hideout, I think you can click her and select the hideout, and it's basically your own instanced home, right? And on your waypoint at the bottom right, it says click to travel to your hideout. This one's my hideout right here. And somewhere in your hideout is a space called the crafting bench. So all of these recipes that you're unlocking is going towards the crafting bench. So you can see I have a couple that I have not yet discovered. A couple, they're veiled, which is like another form of discovery. And they give you all kinds of crafting options. I've unlocked a lot more on this character since this is my lead character. But, you know, to give you a general idea, you could do things like craft onto your wand, right? My wand is already filled up, but, you know, you can craft something like, I don't know, increased cold damage, right? You can do, okay, let me get a little bit more damage. Let me craft 9% increase, 12% increase cold damage onto my build. Okay, there, I do a little bit more cold damage. Or more likely, what you typically want to do is you're like, my resistances are garbage, or my stats are garbage. Let me put some attributes or resistances onto my gear, right? So this ring, for example, not a good example. This amulet, not a good. They have no suffixes, huh? These boots, okay, these boots, you know, I wouldn't mind some extra lightning resistance. So you don't need to pick I don't think this one even unlocks this tier 3 lightning resistance. That's a later thing, but you know, you can go, okay, I can craft some lightning resistance, craft it onto these boots. It costs what, like 4 transmute orbs, and then you can roll with these crafted mods as you gear up, right? And this is one way for you to sort of round out your stats, just to sort of flatten out the RNG that you get throughout the game, right? You could go like a whole act without finding any lightning resistance gear, and you're like, man, I have this thing that has great fire resistance and great cold resistance. I have 120 fire resistance, 90% cold resistance, and like 30 lightning resistance, and 55 burgers, 55 fries, 55 chicken, and then and you could, you know, use the crafting bench and fix your lightning resistance that way. You know, craft lightning res on like 3 different pieces of gear. Now you're good to go. Maybe down the line you will find another piece of gear that, you know, has more lightning res than fire res, and now all of a sudden your gear is fixed, right? So that's one way to sort of beat the RNG, or at least to flatten out this RNG curve, because you get all kinds of random items, and sometimes you're just not going to find the items you want. So if you're not going to, you know, trade or do anything like that, definitely the crafting bench is very, very useful for something like this. Okay, so aside from that, let's just keep going this way. We're going to go ahead and take some aura nodes, and then maybe go down, grab spell suppression. Maybe go over here, grab the life, and then I could think about maybe more damage / AoE. We're gonna have to see. So the next area that we're gonna go to is we're gonna go back to the Ebony Barracks, and I guess we can mention it real quick. You go from the waypoint. You basically go in like the straight upwards direction to the right. And then you're gonna find it's always here. So from the waypoint at Ebony Barracks, just go to the top right, just like this, and you're gonna find your way to the Imperial Gardens. So generally, if you go to the top left, that will take you to the Lunaris Temple, and if you go to the top right, you'll go to the Imperial Gardens. So, you know, if you play this game enough, you tend to start to memorize a few layouts. The layout actually is, I think, like procedurally generated, so it's a little different every time, but there's only like 5 or 6 layouts, or something like that. So you can't really go wrong once you like memorize a few of them. Okay, so this zone at the top area, there's another trial. So that would be, in theory, that should be your last trial of Act 3. And that will give you all 7 labyrinth trials, right? Again, 1 in Act 1, 2 in Act 2, 3 in Act 3. So make sure when you're in Imperial Gardens to not forget about the trial. And then also, this is where you would unlock the library quest. And the library quest essentially gives you access to, I don't want to say all the gems, but a lot of skill gems and support gems. So that's where you can maybe experiment with different, different builds, different support gen combinations. One sec, my wife is messaging. What's going on? Okay, we're good. That wasn't my wife. That was my father-in-law. I don't think I need to read that part. We're doing renovations on the house, and I'm getting messages all the time. Oh, don't forget to do this. Don't forget to do that. Dude, house, like, everyone talks about how nice it is to have a house, and now that I have it, I'm like, it's so much work. it's crazy. It's just crazy. I never really realized how much work it takes to just maintain a house. Every week there's something else. Oh, I managed to walk to the trial. I walked the wrong way. And it's part of the reason that I'm so tired all the time. We're going back and forth with the contractors, making sure we're not getting scammed, making sure that, all the things we want in our house is just being added, and oh, it's just nonstop, man. If that was my wife messaging me though, I might have had to end the stream right here, because right now, if she's messaging me, it's probably like, baby's waking up, what do we do? What do we do? Oh no, do we pick her up? Our night, it's over. It would be like that, but luckily she's still asleep, and hopefully she'll be asleep for a little longer. She's been waking up like in the middle of the night, and it's so hard, man. Like, I never thought I'd say this, but having this child is like the best thing that's happened to me in my life. But at the same time, it's probably the most tired I've been in my whole life. You talk about, oh, what about at college? Were you one of those people that did all-nighters, for exams and stuff? Yeah, I was. I was a bad student, and I pulled all kinds of all-nighters to try and catch up on my studies. I fully admit it. I did do that. But at the same time, I was young, and I could pretty much handle it, I want to say. Like, even though I wasn't getting much sleep at the time, I felt fine. Now, I just like, it's a constant beating of like 3-4 hours a night, and it feels terrible. It feels so bad. And it's not just like minimal sleep. It's like you only just fell asleep, and it's only been 45 minutes or 50 minutes or whatever, and you get woken up by something. The baby, she's crying, the baby pooped, and you gotta go change her, whatever. And that actually really, when she was a newborn, that was the hardest part. It's not the fact that you're not sleeping much. I think, like, I've done late night gaming sessions. The league just comes out and I play a stupid amount. I've done that, okay, but it's the I only just fell asleep and now I need to wake up again, and I'm doing that 6-7 times a night. That was rough, man. For like a month and a half of that was rough. I'm glad that's over, honestly. I'm glad that's over. Okay, so we are currently doing the library quest. Once you get this waypoint down there, you talk to Siosa. He wants you to find, the 4 golden pages. What does that mean? And I can show that to you in a second if I can actually find the next area. So let's keep going down this way. Okay, sorry, I had to pause it real quick. I'm trying to find the next area. There's like a little lever thingy that you can press somewhere. Let me see. By the way, again, you know, it's something that's easy to forget. I don't do it much. I'm pretty bad at it as well, but just make sure you're always using your movement skills. Make sure you're always using your Quicksilver Flask just to go faster. Really in this game, you know, the best defense is to just keep moving. It really is. Movement speed is like such an important defense that, you know, obviously it doesn't show on the stat sheet. But you know, you can dodge projectiles, you can dodge melee attacks. You know, things are chasing you and you can just kind of kite them. The more movement speed you have, you know, the better. Like these guys, they haven't hit me yet, but I already used my attack. So I remember in Diablo 3, I think. I want to say it's Diablo 3. I could be wrong. But could you dodge projectiles in Diablo 3? You must be able to, right? There was some game where it's like you can't really dodge projectiles, so you know, it doesn't matter how much movement speed you had. You would always be getting hit no matter what. So like a lot of the builds, you know, obviously there's like the big attacks from like bosses and stuff, but like just trash mobs, when they throw projectiles, you tend to get hit. And it's like, it didn't really matter whether you were dodging it or not. I think it was D3, like when it first released. I could be wrong. And then it just felt like you were rubber banding because like the projectiles flying this way and you're already over here, but for some reason the game still detects you as getting hit. This game's a little different. You know, when there is a projectile, it flies in that direction. If they're melee hitting, you know, they hit straight and you move to the right, you know, chances are you're gonna dodge the hit. Which means that, you know, actually physically evading, and not by like, when I say physically, I don't mean like you're moving your body, like physically in real life, just trying to dodge an attack. Not like, I mean like, you know, moving away from attacks is actually something you could do in this game. So okay, Colossal Life Flask. We can slowly upgrade our flasks as well. We got a unique belt. Damage to attacks, resistance. This thing is actually a really good belt if you were to pick it up for an attack build. Holy crap, this thing's really good. There's a lot of damage. You get elemental resistance, increased global physical damage, increased elemental damage with attacks. That's a good belt, dude. That's a strong belt. If you find something like that, you know, maybe if you're playing a bow build, or if you're playing some kind of melee attack build, you could probably run with that belt for a very, very long time. Okay, so we're gonna collect all the pages. There's 4 pages. While we're doing that, I'm gonna hydrate. Wow, we actually do enough damage where my frost blink is just killing people. So maybe I could just... Maybe we could zoom a little bit. Right? There we go. I think that's all 4 pages. Okay. I really didn't need to unlock this quest, by the way, but I just kind of wanted to show it to you guys. Once you get 4 pages, you talk to Siosa. I think he gives you... Yeah, he gives you another support gem too, huh? What's good for me? Ooh, cold penetration? That's pretty good. That would be it. Okay, let's go with cold pen. And then you can see, if you talk to Siosa now, and you purchase, a bunch of gems become available to you. So you can have a pick of like what support gems you want to play. Maybe you want to switch up your active gems. You don't really need to do that. Flame Dash maybe? You can pick up one of these. And then are there any support gems? What's this? Cursed Ground? I don't even know what this is. Pending Doom, Swift Brand, Charge Mines. There's so many gems, dude. Energy Leech, Innervate, Blasphemy, Conk Effect. No, I think penetration is fine. And then maybe elemental focus just for more damage. Something like this. What happens to... Yeah, it goes up a little bit when I do that. And then let's get another... Oh, wow. Frostbolt's on a 3-link? It does so much damage for a 3-link. Okay, that's good enough. And then let's go back to town, sell everything. So that's where you go. If you want to pick up more support gems, unlock it, and then later on you could come back here and pick up more, and just purchase more support gems out of there. Once you're in Act 6, actually all the support gems and active skill gems become unlocked to you as well. So that's also an option. So if you don't want to bother doing this quest, like you don't want to bother with the, the support gem stuff, feel free to skip it. But otherwise, that's actually a pretty good quest to do. It is an optional quest, so you don't have to do it. You can rush through it. But it is a good way to pick up some more of these gems if you want it. And I guess the question is, like, do I want it? Maybe. Like for me, I did get a little bit of extra damage by switching out my gems towards like a multiplier setup. And what I mean by that is, before we had things like added cold damage, which is adding flat damage. Now we swapped it out for things like cold penetration. So you're penetrating cold resistance. It's almost like a more multiplier. Or elemental focus, 20% more elemental damage. So instead of adding flat damage to our skills, our skills already have a good amount of flat damage. Now we're trying to multiply them with like more multiplier damage modifiers, right? So I take my 100 damage and I multiply it by 20%, and then multiply that by 20%. And you get, like compounding growth basically from that. Ooh, that chaos soup. Alright, is there anything else we can talk about? Act 3? At this point, you should be cruising. Really, I feel like for the next little bit, you're just trying to get through the campaign. Your character should be pretty set. You have a 4-link. You're going to be on a 4-link for like pretty long. And all you need to do is make sure that you stay on a 4-link, right? Like you're still looking to find upgrades, weapon upgrades and armor upgrades and so on, but you don't want to lose your 4-link for the sake of upgrading something, whatever, right? So make sure you still have that 4-link, maybe upgrade all the other pieces. And even though you have a 4-link chest right now that's kind of bad, you managed to find like a pretty good 4-link helmet that's an upgrade to your previous helmet. Okay, go upgrade that. Now you can upgrade out of your chest, right? The point I'm trying to make is just make sure you always have that 4-link. If you can find a 5-link or even a 6-link, hey, even better. But it's quite expensive. What I don't recommend you trying to do is trying to link your own 5 or 6-link, or even 5 or 6 socket. The links is very hard to do. As you progress through the game, you will find 5 sockets, 6 sockets. You will find more of those. Those are a little bit more common. But still, you find a 6 socket, don't be like, okay, I'm halfway there to a 6-link. Now all I have to do is link it. I already have the sockets. Don't try to do that. It's a very bad idea. First of all, you're not going to have enough fusings, and you're going to burn through all of your fusings trying to 6-link it. It won't be worth it. So don't try to 6-link, basically. Long story short, don't try to 6-link until... I'm gonna make another generalization. This series have been making a lot of generalizations, but don't make a 6-link until you have like 2,000 fusings. Let's just call it that. If you're a new player, you don't know what you're doing, don't try for the 6-link until you have like 2,000 fusing orbs. It doesn't cost that many to actually 6-link, but you could get terrible RNG, spend all of your currency 6-linking, and then come out still with nothing. Right, like I've had a league where I spent, I think, 4,500 fusing orbs trying to 6-link. If you get hit by bad luck, you're gonna have a bad time. So, you know, and probably quit the game. So just like don't go in with this expectation I'll find a 6th link. There is a unique item it's called tabula rasa, and those are like aren't as rare. They drop a little bit more often. Occasionally you will find one. It's basically a unique item that has no stats whatsoever, nothing, but it has a 6th link. So you could do that, and then, you know, even though it has no stats, it has 6 links. That's worth it because you can support your 1 active skill gem with 5 support gems. It's gonna have huge damage, also huge mana cost. I never really mentioned this, but if you were to mouse over some of these support gems, you can see that there's a cost and reservation multiplier. That means whatever the mana cost is, you multiply that by 1.4. And then whatever the mana cost is of those 2 things, you multiply that by 1.3, multiply that by 1.3. So, you know, the cost of these things get pretty big. In this case, our skills aren't too bad. This one costs 21 mana, this one costs 30. If you try to support your auras, you know, if something costs 50, there's a reservation limit of 50% of your mana, and then you try to add like a 50% multiplier to that, you're going to be reserving 75% of your mana. Like, that's how it works. So got to be careful of that too. If you find yourself like, hey, how come all my mana is unusable, I'm only using like heralds or something, just make sure that you didn't accidentally put a support gem on those auras. Otherwise, they're gonna reserve a lot more mana, right? Oh, I accidentally and speaking of auras, I actually undid my heralds, and it was doing a lot less damage. Over here in the upper scepter of God, this is where you unlock the Scion if it's the first time you're playing this game and you've never gotten to this point before. The Scion, her tree starts in the middle of this whole passive tree, and she's a bit of like a jack of all trades. What are her advantages? Like, what kind of build she like plays? The way she plays is like she can take on characteristics of 2 classes in the game, but like the characteristics of those classes are not as strong with a Scion. I feel like they play a lot more around like having jewel sockets, maybe because they're just closer to it. I can't really describe it well, but you know, the archetype of Scion typically is a class that's like part witch, part duelist or something like that. Like they take on like weird hybrid classes. Okay, so here we have Dominus. Dominus actually has some mechanics that are kind of interesting, that you might need to pay attention to. But for the most part, the first phase, he summons these, you know, these unique enemies who you need to defeat first. Just make sure you are probably managing your flasks. You know, making sure you have mana, making sure you have life flasks. If you need to, you can drop a portal if you run out of flask charges to TP back to town. Once you defeat all of these unique monsters, Dominus will descend, and he actually has 2 phases. So. As well as a bunch of attacks. So one of his attacks is he summons these ice totems, and then if you stand in them, you'll take damage. Another effect is he shoots, or in this case, he marks you. It's the mark of Dominus, and then you have like these enemies that they're basically banelings. They'll like suicide bomb you. So where you're marked, they'll run to you, and then they'll blow up on you. He also shoots these laser thingies, like these lightning thingies, whatever the heck that is. You basically don't want to get hit by all of them because it actually does quite a bit of damage. And then the thing that does the most damage is when he yells Touch of God. He'll slam the ground, and if you are in the AoE of that attack, there's probably a good chance you'll die. So just make sure that you don't get stuck in that animation and get hit by those. Once you defeat his first phase, he'll do this, and then he'll have a second phase. Second phase, he does a lot of bleeding damage, and if you find that he does this blood rain, you just gotta sit in his bubble in front of him. So you can see he's causing corrupted blood to my character. and then he's, you know, taking damage over time. Now there's Blood Rain. If I stay outside of his bubble, I'm gonna take corrupted blood damage, so I have to stay in this yellow bubble. And really, that's the only two things you need to worry about. Those are his only attacks. If you want, you can actually roll your flasks to have this mod called Staunching, I think. And basically what it does is it removes bleeding and corrupted blood. So if you find that you're having trouble with this boss, you could always go in that route where you basically roll Staunching on one of your life flasks, and that will make this fight a lot easier. Obviously we didn't bother with that. I've done this fight so many times that, you know, as long as you probably manage your flasks and have enough HP and have enough damage, it's really not a problem. So he dropped basically nothing I care about. This is a minion amulet. Oh man, I feel like I'm getting sick, bro. I don't feel good. Okay. But yeah, now we're in Act 4. Dominus was the Act 3 boss. If we were to go on like what the story is, does anyone actually know what the story of Path of Exile is? If you've gotten to this point, okay, if you're a new player, do you know what the what the story is? Because I sure as heck don't. Like, if my understanding is, you in Act 1 you were trying to just find your way around. You find this lady called Piety, and she ran away. She was researching Brutus. You killed Brutus, but she ran away. When you're in the next zone, she like closes out, you're like chasing her, and then she closes off the path to Act 2, and you're like, hey man, I just want to make my way inland, what's your problem, lady? And then like it's like, okay, well, you know what, I can't go this way, you closed off the path, I guess I have to go look for another way. And then you go into like the Cavern of Wrath or whatever and fight Merville, who's like this siren lady who's like, oh, love me. And then you after you defeat her, you're like in Act 2, you get to Act 2, and they're like, hey man, we got our own problems here, can you just like leave us alone? They're like these bandits and they're like extorting us for, I don't know, whatever the heck it is. Can you like deal with the bandits or something? And then you're like, oh sure. And then you can either help the bandits and then be a bad guy, or you could deal with the bandits, and then the whole town is like, hey, you're a-okay. And then while you're doing that, you're exploring Act 2, and you find like this spider who drops like a staff, and then you also find this baleful gem, and then they're like, hey, if you combine the two, it opens up this mysterious vault area. You want to try going there? It might be cool. I could be wrong, by the way, but this is my summary of the story, okay? And then you're like, all right, cool, let's go check out this area, this wall area. While you're exploring it, you see this big black ball. You're like, what the fuck, a black ball? What the hell is that? you touch it, and it like rolls off a cliff, and then the whole area gets surrounded by darkness, and all the people are like, oh, what the fuck, you angered the gods, what's your problem, man? Get the hell out of my town. And then you're gonna be like, I'm sorry, I'll fix this. And then you get to the end of Act 2, and then you find that there's the Vol Oversoul, who's like this weird machination of the Vol race from like, I don't know, like a millennia ago or something, and then you defeat them, and then, you know, the people in Act 2 are like, all right, you messed enough with our area, can you just like leave us the fuck alone? And then you're like, all right, sure. And you go to Act 3. You get to Act 3, before you even get anywhere, you find out that like there are these guys beating up this lady Clarissa, and you're like, hey, you leave this fine old lady alone. And then you save her, and then she's like, oh, my poor husband told me, whoever my man told man. They have him. They're running experiments on him and shit. And then you're like, all right, I guess I'm gonna help you, because the Act 2 didn't want me. I want you guys to like me too. So you get there, you get a crematorium, you find Tollman, and he's like effed up beyond repair, right? You come back, and then Clarissa's all like, ooh, And then you're like, I'm sorry, lady. What do you want me to do? Like I did my best. She's like, it's okay. Here's the sewer keys. I don't know what that is for. I actually don't know what happened there. And then you go through the sewers. You end up in the marketplace. You end up in this. And then you can't progress through the sewers any longer. You're like, hey, what the hell? There's like this big butthole that's stopping me from making progress past the sewers. And then like some dude's like, yeah, dude, the General Gravicius is on the other side of the butthole. You gotta make it through the butthole, please. Like that dude's a menace. And then you're like, okay, what do you want? Okay, sure. And then you find Lady Diala, and Lady Diala's like, Dominus is somebody's plaything. This dude, she's like this she's like an experiment gone wrong and also a plaything for like some royalty. And then she has like she's like the original, what is it, she's the gemling queen. She's like the first person who had like, this is how like skill gems got invented or something like that. They like experimented with her and put all kinds of gems in her back in the hopes that she would be like the ultimate spellcaster or something like that. But like at this point she's like, oh no, I don't do that anymore, but I can open up the butthole for you. Here, let me just make I don't know, like make hot chili pepper and the butthole will just open right up. So you use that and you open up the infernal sphincter, and you get to the next area, you get to General Gravicius. And now someone in town's like, oh, now that you're here, I know that Piety runs like all kinds of effed up experiments here. And you just like deal with her. And then so you're like, okay, I'll do what you say. You defeat Piety, and as you're going there, like the whole place is filled with like a river of blood and like piles of dead corpses. That was this episode, by the way. And like you defeat her, and she's like, it's not over, you bish. And then you're like, what do you mean? And then she drops like this key, and turns out like the mastermind of all this is Dominus, was at the top of the tower, and so you climb this Dominus's tower. You get to the top, and then he has these two phases, and he turns into this fucked up monster, and you're like, what the hell's going on, man? What the hell? And then you go to the next area. Now this is as far as I got. And then after this, for the next 10 years I stopped paying attention. I mean, now we're here. And now we're here. They're like, hey, you gotta open up the mines. And I'm like, what the mines? What the fuck do you mean? They're like, yeah, there are these mines that you need to go through. But oh wait. Oh no. The story is, I just got here. Diala's here too. Okay, the Gemling Queen. Okay, let's actually figure out what the story is. This is because I could be so wrong, and I'm lost as hell. But at the same time, I think I'm like kind of right. So let's just see, like how close I am. Did I get any? I've been like looking to get the Vol Ice Nova this whole time, and I don't think I found it yet. Vol Arc, Vol Righteous Fire. No, I don't want any of this. Okay, Diala. Tasuni.
Tasuni, he who peers into the gloom. I stare into the eyes of madness, witch. I see a hunger for power. Hunt well.
Okay, he's like a prophet kind of dude. He's probably blind. That's the kind of character he plays.
Speak. The time has come, not a cockroach, to crawl up into the bowels of this nightmare. Traverse it.
Okay.
Speak.
You come to us, a woman like us, and yet nothing like us. While we cloak ourselves in tradition and war, Sekema Deshret sealed the mines, trapped the nightmare within its black den. The beast should never have been imprisoned. The beast should have been destroyed, yet for all her ferocity, it seemed that Deshret lacked the courage to do so. And now, after 2 centuries guarding this hole in the ground, this Akara lacks the strength. But But you are not Deshret, and you are not one of us. You will succeed where we have failed. Act
all
with
right. So you get here, and Diala's like, Dominus isn't the final boss, by the way. There's like this effed up beast, and it's been corrupted. The beast, the beast is the mighty being, okay? And it's the nightmare. It's called the nightmare. It just, you know, that's why like Dominus turned into this weirdo monster, okay? Because the nightmare corrupted him. What the hell did he say? The world is an illusion. Okay, but he's basically saying like, okay, you think I'm the final boss? No, there's somebody else above me, and that's the beast. And somebody is messing with the beast and they're corrupting him. So now Dial's like, okay, now you already went up the sphincter, okay? Now you gotta go up the renal glands, the anus piece, and really get up that beast's ass, and defeat him. And then you're like, oh man, dude, am I gonna have to touch poo poo? And she's like, shut up, you're here to save the world. So, and they're like, but someone sealed off like the asshole of this guy. Okay, you need to go get the banner who was defeated by Vol, the brittle emperor. Okay, he has it on his back. It's right there. Can you just like get his banner real quick? And then you're like, how am I supposed to get this banner? They're like, I don't know, steal it or something. And at this point, I don't know what I'm talking about. And then you defeat him, you get his banner, and you enter the mines, which leads to the beast, like, I guess. All right, we good? Everyone understands? Are we all caught up? There we go. We got the banner. I think there's also a crafting recipe around here. Yeah, over here. Then we go over here. Open up the mines. And then you get to talk to Nico, who's the master of the depths. Talk to Oyun. I think she gives me a support gem, right? No, she gives me... Oh, what's this? Okay, she gives me golems, which I have no use for. She gives me hydrosphere, which I have no use for. She gives me frost shield, which I have no use for. She gives me void sphere, which is probably the only thing I can legitimately take, but I'm not going to use any of this stuff. Okay. So now we go into the mines, and this is where we meet Nico. What's his name? Nico, the master of the depths. And this is where you're introduced basically to the delve mechanic. This was another league that was very successful, very popular. I too enjoyed it immensely. And the concept of the league mechanic is that in a zone, there's gonna be these things called sulfite. And you'll see it when we... Maybe let's wait till we actually find it before I talk about it. Starting to take quite a bit of damage. No, that's a bad roll, unfortunately. Okay, let's see if we can find some sulfite first. And I might not. Typically this zone... Nope. The mines... I think if you haven't done the quest, you're guaranteed to find sulfite. But since I've done this quest before, it's random. Okay, if we find it, we'll find it. If not, maybe we can talk about it next time we find it.
When I'm ready and not before.
Now I'm rushing. Trying to find this thing. Okay, well, aside from the soul fight, there's also an optional quest around here. You can see the exclamation mark over there. It's optional, but not really optional because the quest reward gives you a skill point, which is obviously good. So let's see if we can get there. Basically, you gotta kill, like, release, like, some spirit. Long story short. But did I... Must have just missed it. Let's be back here. Alright, yeah. So you release Deshred Spirit. There's this dude, Hammer Storm.
Spirits in this place.
And, Domino Spirit, you have freed the ancient spirit of Sakima Deshret. Talk to Tasuni in town for a reward. What's the story there? Beats the hell out of me. All I know is he gives quest reward. Okay, my monkey brain just go, you click exclamation mark, you get skill point. And then I move on with my merry way. Okay, I continue my day. That's all I need to know. So we're actually rushing a little bit here. And part of the reason kind of is because I want to find the next waypoint. I kind of have to pee. Nothing gets you to start speedrunning like the need to pee. I've been sipping tea this whole time, trying to not get sick, you know, just staying hydrated. And now it's coming to bite me in the ass. As a blue pack, we should kill it. Ow. Things are starting to hurt, by the way. Here's another hideout, so you can clear out that hideout, and if you want, you can claim that hideout instead. Do those hideout quests matter? Not really. It just unlocks another hideout if you like the... It's a visual thing. If you like the look of the hideout, you can have that one instead if you unlock it. That's it. Do they offer any, like, benefits? Like stat bonuses to have these hideouts? No. But that's where you typically like to stash, you know... You put NPCs in there, you put your crafting bench in there, and in the late game, you spend most of your time in the hideout.
You know, not a cockroach. Had I accepted my place, my rapturous role, the beast would be no more, no less, no anything at all. My selfishness tickled the beast's fancy and it laughed the world I knew away. Yet I have had much time to think on my lonesome. Much time to... Ta-ta!
Okay, I'm gonna stop looking at the story because I'll be quite honest, even after reading this, I don't know what it means. I don't know what's going on. This is where somebody can come explain to me how the rest of the story goes. And then 5 years later, I'll come back and just really butcher the crap out of it again. Auras from your skills have increased effect. It's fine. And is there... Maybe I'll take a couple mana nodes. And get mana reservation efficiency. Whoa, that's a pretty good wand. Let me see. Lightning damage to attacks. A lot of lightning damage to attacks. Holy cow. Okay. Wait a second. 1554. 1954 or 1945. Okay. Okay, our damage is gonna go up a lot after this. And then we also get back Frost Bomb, as well as Frostbite. Sick. I have to pee, but I want to. We can do one more zone. We can do one more, right? We're fine. What's my DPS now? 2,300 here. 3,000 over there. Oh my god. Wait. We're not even done, right? There's Frostblink here.
So this is what the inside of
Okay,
the
I can
Cameron
drop
cave
Frostbite.
looks like. I hope
Actually, let's use Flame Dash for this area. You actually want to use Flame Dash here. I'll show you guys why in a second. And then I can add one more. Oh my god, I can add one more support gem. Maybe just... added lightning? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that feels good. So apparently, there's like a cool little skip you can do with Flame Dash over here. And I just learned about it yesterday. I was watching a streamer. I just happened to click into his stream. His name was Exile. And he... I don't know if he's the one who discovered it, but I saw him
when I'm ready.
testing this thing out. Basically, you run until you find the twin lava waterfalls. Wherever that is. And I've been like really meaning to test this thing out. Hopefully some of the layouts don't have the twin lava falls, but did I get it twisted? Is this messed up? I don't think this area has it. Okay. I'm gonna remake this area just so that I could try this out. I just kind of want to show it. Let's try that again. Okay, we're going. We're zooming. We're leveling, we're zooming, we're going. Okay, where is it? Where is it? Where are you? It would have been faster, by the way, if I just kept going, but... Okay, here. So you got these falls, and then apparently what you do is you zoom in, you click over to the top edge, and you flame dash? You need to set this to always attack without moving. Bro, it doesn't work. Bro! I got scammed. I actually got scammed. It's a scam. How does it work? You zoom in, you walk here, you flame dash up. I can't do it. I can't do it. Is it because the flame dash level is too low? No, there's no distance for this thing. Alright, just give me a second, okay? Give me a second. Nope. Nope. Fuck you. I can't do it. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how they did it. It looks so cool. And I was really looking forward to trying it out. But I'm no speed racer. I'm no pro racer. I guess I'm just a filthy casual who doesn't know what he's doing. Wait a second. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Let's just keep going. Forget everything that happened in the last 5 minutes, okay? Just don't worry about it. By the way, I'd just like to mention, see these totems? This is probably the first place where you just kind of like repeatedly die if you don't know what you're doing. Those totems, if you stand still, they throw so many fireballs at you that many lives have been lost trying to kill that boss. Don't be one of them, okay? Don't be one of them. Go into that fight with 75 fire resistance. Make sure to keep moving, and then come out of it and go, I was prepared. I saw a video that said that that boss is stupid and that he does a lot of fire damage. And I made sure that I didn't stand still and get clobbered by like 100 fireballs, okay? Don't get meatballed by that guy. You just don't want to happen. You don't want it to happen to you, okay? Don't say I didn't warn you. All right, now that we're here,
When I'm ready.
I'm just gonna go ahead and I really need to pee now. So we're gonna rush through a little bit. I mean, at this point, like, what is there to talk about for like our character? We didn't see the Nico stuff either, so we can talk about Delve later. Ow, ow, ow. Ow. Yo, this guy hurts. Oh, I only have 59 fire resistance? What happened, bro? Oh, because I swapped out my wand? Is that what happened? Okay, no wonder everything hurts. It looks like it's this way. So I'm actually a fan of Flame Dash over Frostblink, just because Frostblink has a bit of a cooldown and Flame Dash has 3 charges. So it's a lot more, it does less damage, like a lot less damage compared to my Frostblink, but it gives me a lot more maneuverability. And right now I'm just trying to get through this zone as fast as I can. Okay, so this is gonna take us to Kathera the King. You're gonna fight King Calm, which I think is actually one of the cooler boss fights in the game. In terms of how you actually fight him, just make sure you don't get blasted by his slam. Every corner occasionally throws fireballs. Just make sure you don't stand in that corner when that's happening. And then liberally use your movement skills as well as your Quicksilver flasks. And also make sure that your health flasks are always topped up. Or that your HP is topped up and then you are pressing your health flasks. If you run out of flask charges, just TP back to town. It's fine, you can do that. And then if you have enough damage, it ends up being like a pretty cozy and comfortable fight, right? So that was very easy. We picked up the Eye of Fury, which is one of the quest items. Go ahead, go back to the Crystal Veins, give that to Diala. And then you're gonna go into the Wrestler's Dream, which we're gonna do next episode, and complete the second half of this questline. Let's go sell everything, and then we can probably call it right there.
What do you need now?
Cast speed, energy shield. Wow, my Jade Amulet is pretty good. Void Sphere I really don't need, so I'm just gonna go ahead and sell that.
You will be remembered.
Okay, and that's pretty much the end of this episode. Today we ended up completing Act 3, and probably half of Act 4 at this point. And maybe next episode what we'll do is we'll complete the rest of Act 4 and then go ahead and do our lab trials and get our Ascendancy, which is our subclass, which is a very exciting because that gives you a huge power boost. So look forward to that. That's the end of this episode. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, you can leave a like and subscribe to my channels for more updates in the future. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me as well. There's a Discord channel that you can join if you want to just hang out. Otherwise, keep in touch, guys. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.